Hello and welcome to Leah Tries. Today I'm going to be talking about failing at university, from tests to subjects to failing a whole degree. If you're wondering why I have my earphones in my hand, it's because in the last video I was told that it's extremely irritating when I keep the earphones in my ears while I speak. But unfortunately this is where my mic is, so I'm going to be keeping it here for the video and seeing if people prefer that or if this just irritates them more, but I guess we'll find out as you go. The reason that I want to talk about this today is, again, as with sort of the continuing theme of this talking about series, I want to sort of open a line of discussion around certain topics, and I just want to basically start a discussion about it, sort of tell a little bit about myself, and maybe you can relate to this, maybe you can see the behavior of someone else in my story. I applied to study a BSc in sports science, and I was really nervous about not getting in because my extracurriculars were not as impressive as I thought other people's were. But I ended up getting in anyway, and I was really happy when I found out. I prepared as best I could when university started, and it was totally overwhelming initially. I attended welcoming week for the first years, and it was a huge amount of information to take in. We attended classes to teach us how to use university computers and how to use all the systems. They showed us how to load money for internet and food and whatever else we needed, how to reach our student emails, and how to buy internet time. There were tours around campus so we could learn the names and the location of different buildings. I got issued a student card and I moved into a student residence. My first few weeks were awful. I still struggled with the university systems and I found it difficult to know where to be and what to do on a weekly basis. Slowly but surely I began to adjust, and by the end of the first term I was more in the rhythm of my studies. My first year was a really big adjustment for me, especially because I took a gap year. I went from my final year of high school to a structureless gap year and then to a very structured first year. It was really tough, but I passed all of my subjects. I enjoyed the sports science subjects especially, but the science subjects didn't really work for me. It felt like they weren't really me. I was really glad that my effort paid off when I ended up passing. I pushed through all the difficult and all the boring work, and it was really stressful and it made me very unsure of myself, but I passed by the skin of my teeth, and that's what mattered. The degree of difficulty increased significantly after first year for both my science and my sports subjects. I began to struggle much more than I did before. I still loved the sport part of my degree, and I did really well in those subjects even though they were difficult, but early in my second year I started to fail tests for my science subjects. I struggled with all aspects of these subjects, the practicals, the tutorials, the assignments, and the tests. And before the first 6 months, I failed 2 of my science subjects. Now, I was so disappointed in myself. There were some added personal things that affected my studies, but I also knew I hadn't worked hard enough. I wasn't passionate about these subjects. It was a really big blow to my confidence failing those modules, and it meant that I had to extend my 3-year degree to a 4-year one. My parents were very supportive, and they told me to work hard next year when I repeat them, and I agreed to that and finished the rest of my second year subjects, which were mainly sports subjects by that point, which I greatly enjoyed. In my third year, I decided to major in disabilities, and I felt very connected to that subject. I began doing more and more things that I liked in class, but I was still repeating these 2 science modules from the previous year. They were awful, and the second time they were even worse than the first time. I tried to pay more attention in class, I tried to prepare better for practicals and tutorials, I tried to study harder for tests, and to use different learning techniques to what I had used the previous year. And I ended up failing them both for a second time within the first 6 months. It was a massive letdown for me. I really felt like I had applied myself totally differently, and I wasn't really sure what to do. I had promised my parents that I would do better, and I hadn't. I had to make a decision to continue my degree and do better again, or to discontinue my subjects and to reapply. I thought about it for a long time, and in the end I decided to discontinue my degree and to reapply. This meant that I was stopping my degree in its tracks and losing all the credits I had gotten in my third year. I also decided to take a different approach to my degree. I applied for a BA instead this time, where my focus outside of sport would be on psychology and philosophy, things that I've always been very interested in but never thought I would get a chance to study. All of this happened earlier this year, around June, July is when I made this decision. And I've taken the rest of the year to clear my head and improve my health, which had been declining for months before for various reasons. I decided to do some volunteer work so I wouldn't have to do nothing until I started with my studies again, and the work ended up really helping me to gain some structure and motivation in my life. The situation wasn't and isn't perfect, but I'm doing the best with what I've got, and if you're struggling with university, know that you are far from being the only one. I had tons of smart and diligent friends that passed their degrees, BSc or BA, with flying colours, and I don't want to take away from their achievement by saying that I'm doing just as great as doing your degree in the prescribed number of years. If you can do it in that amount of time, that's awesome, and bravo from my side. But if you're like me and you struggle academically, take comfort in the fact that we are not alone. I would recommend speaking to friends, people that you know are doing better in the subject. This may seem very obvious to some, but it can be very difficult. Asking your peers for help. It shows strength to ask someone for help because it's really difficult to do that. When I found out initially about failing my subjects for a second time and realizing the decision it had come to, I was so mad at myself, and I ended up speaking to family members, and I've ended up finding out how many of my family members have not only extended their degrees but also failed and changed degrees and done different, like a variety of things differently to what I did, but also the same in a lot of ways. I think that my degree is working out for the better. I think that BA is going to suit me a lot better than BSc ever did. Not dissing a BSc degree at all. I think just for my personal skill set and my priorities and my interests. But I guess we're going to wait and see. Really, nothing is set in stone yet because I'm obviously going back next year. I'm very excited to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be uploading a couple of videos over the holiday until university starts again. Then I might start uploading a little bit less, but I'm hoping to upload a whole bunch of content before then, so stay tuned. Remember to subscribe, remember to like and leave your comments, leave any questions, leave any stories, personal stories, things that you've done, or things that have happened to you. Leave them all down in the comment section below. This has been Leah Tries. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.